Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Isn't She Powerful podcast. I am so excited to get to have you here with me today because we're going to be talking about how to navigate that experience that you've probably all had. We've definitely all been there before, where you've been eating all day and yet you still feel hungry. You've been eating, snacking, putting food into your mouth more often than you haven't been throughout the day, and yet for some reason you still keep finding yourself in the pantry eating more food. That's what we're going to talk about today. You're going to understand why that happens and how to navigate it. I'm going to boil all of it down into you're going to do one of two things, and you're going to know how to make which of those choices. Before we dig into it, I want to let you know that my group coaching program, Seismic Shift, is officially open for enrollment once again. If you have heard of Seismic Shift before, the program has gotten some pretty major updates in the last couple of months. I've been making some changes just because that's what I do, as the teacher in me always wants to make the courses that I have better, because I know that there are opportunities for me to support people in better, deeper ways. So with that, even if you've heard of Seismic Shift, I want you to go down into the show notes and I want you to take a look at the page, see what it's all about now, what's included. I'm not going to go into the details right here of everything of the entire program. I actually will release an entirely separate episode to talk in detail about Seismic Shift and everything that's changed and all of those good updates for you. But for now, I want to just leave you with this when it comes to the program. I was just interviewed on a podcast just earlier this week. The ladies who were interviewing me, they asked, at what point do people decide that they want to work with you? At what point do women decide to take this course of action and join your programs? And I thought that was a really valuable question to ask, because it really helps you decide, am I the person that typically works with her? Am I the person that she is qualified to work with? And let me tell you what I answered to her, because I feel like it is very accurate to the women that I serve. The women who end up working with me have been on diet after diet after diet, and they've tried all of these different programs, and they want to approach it in a different way. And that is what I specialize in, because the truth is all of these diets that you've been on, they haven't worked for a reason. You are still here trying to figure it out, still stuck in the same old habits, the same old lifestyle, feeling unhappy with yourself and with your choices and in your body, the same way that you always have been. Those diets haven't worked in the past. And so my programs, they take a different approach. I'm not somebody who's going to help you change your life overnight. I am very much against the idea of let's go full send, let's go completely overboard, and let's just go for it and do all the things all at once. We're drinking a gallon of water every day. We're going on a 4-hour walk. We're eating every meal perfectly and never messing anything up. We're getting 16 hours of sleep every night. I know I'm talking in extremes here, but you get what I'm saying. There's so many diets out there or programs that make you live in these extremes. They make you have so many rules around what you can and cannot do that even though you would get great results if you stuck to it, you can't stick to it, at least not for a very long time. And then by the time that you get around to reaching your goals, you're so over it, if you even made it to that point, that you say, awesome, I met my goal, let me take a deep breath. And in that deep breath, you gain all the weight back and your life goes back to the way it was before. And now you feel even worse about yourself. So my program is different in that it is so sustainable. I'm giving you just really tiny goals every single week. I'm giving you meals that actually taste good to eat every single week. And through the simplicity of the program, that's where you build real sustainable change. So if that speaks to you, if that is something that you resonate with and you're ready to stop looking at health from this black and white food rules extreme perspective, and you want something that fits your real life, you want it to feel so sustainable and achievable, and you want it to make you actually feel good about yourself, you have found the right girl. And I invite you to go down into the show notes, take a look at Seismic Shift. I would be honored to get to support you in your health and wellness journey. You can go to behealthyhabits.com/seismic-shift, or you can head down into the show notes and check out everything at the link down below. So I told you that for this episode, we were going to be talking about how to navigate the feelings of I've been eating all day and yet I'm still hungry. Before we navigate those feelings, we need to understand why they exist in the first place. This is a big piece of the way that I coach my clients. I don't just tell you what to do, I tell you why you're doing that. Because once you can understand the why, that's when you can begin to apply it, right? I don't know if anybody is going to resonate with this, but as a teacher, we learned about all those different levels of understanding. And at the very bottom level, it's just the core, like, yeah, I can recite back to you what this means. As you move up, it's that you can begin to apply that understanding to new situations. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to take this information and say, okay, I know how to create a well-balanced plate at my house. Let me take it and apply that at a restaurant. Let me take that and apply it at the backyard barbecue that we're going to for our neighbors, right? I want you to be able to apply this information, walk into the grocery store and say, okay, if this is a high fiber food, this would also be a high fiber food because I know how to read the nutrition labels for it now. So that is my intention with telling you why you're experiencing this, is so that you can understand why are you feeling like you're hungry all day, so that then you can apply that knowledge next time you're feeling hungry, instead of just being like, okay, I get what she's saying, I understand, but I want you to be able to actually apply it. So with all of that being said, there are pretty much, I'm just going to boil all of this down into like the bare basics for you. There's pretty much two reasons why you would be experiencing this. The first one is that even though you've been eating all day, you haven't been eating anything of substance. You've been snacking all day. You've been having a handful of this, a little nibble of that, just a lick of this. Like, you've just been picking at things all day and you haven't actually had anything of real substance. Your body needs legit fuel if you want it to carry on and do everything that you need and want it to do every single day. So we have to fuel it. We have to give it the food that it requires in order to do that, right? But if you've just been picking and snacking, your body isn't getting what it needs. And so it's going to start asking you for what it needs. It's going to start talking to you, sending you cravings, sending you signals. Your tummy's going to be grumbling all day. And the reason for that is because your body is just screaming at you and saying, hey, we need some food, okay? The other reason why this might be happening is because of what I'm just going to call emotional instability for your body. I don't mean that you are emotionally unstable. What I mean is that you are experiencing a roller coaster of emotions. At one minute you're happy, the next minute you're overwhelmed, the next minute you're stressed, the next minute you're feeling carefree, and you're just going through this roller coaster of emotions. Maybe in a single day, or maybe in the course of a week, you're feeling kind of all over the place emotionally, and your body doesn't really know how to respond to that. And so it begins to say, okay, we just need to level the playing field. And it does that through food oftentimes, because when we eat, our body releases a hormone called dopamine, and dopamine is our happiness hormone. And so our body is asking for that happiness hormone to be injected into the body. That way we can just feel a sense of peace and happiness and stillness in what right now is an emotional irregular state. So there's those two reasons why this might be happening for you. And I don't know for you, without speaking to you, what that is. That's your job to figure out. So that's where I want to take us next. How are you going to navigate it when this situation starts to happen? I want you to do the most important thing that you can possibly do, and that is to pause. Take a second and check in with your body and just get some information. I want you to gather some context around the situation that you're currently feeling. Ask yourself, okay, what am I craving right now? There were some questions that I used to ask myself whenever I was experiencing my cravings really badly. I would ask myself, first question, what am I craving? That gives us some really valuable insight into why we are craving that food. And here's an example of that. When I first moved to Florida, I was randomly craving lemon pound cake like every single day. And I could not understand why I randomly wanted lemon pound cake. That's not something that I normally wanted or would gravitate towards. But for some reason, that craving just kept coming up for me. So I started to explore it. Why am I craving lemon pound cake? What is going on here? And what I realized was the only time that I really ate lemon pound cake was on Sunday afternoons when I would get together with my entire family. It would either be after church, we would get together as a big family and have a meal together, or on a holiday, we would get together and have a big meal, and every time my Nene would make her lemon pound cake. So since I had just moved to Florida, I was craving not the lemon pound cake, but the experience that came along with eating the lemon pound cake. I was craving the human connection and the family aspect that I was missing by having moved a few states away. So I realized through asking myself the simple question of what am I craving, that traced back to me understanding that what I really needed was not lemon pound cake. What I really needed was to pick up the phone and call my family and have some conversations with them and connect with them in a way that I hadn't been able to in a while. So ask yourself, what are you craving? Why am I craving it? When am I craving it? Also, asking yourself the question of when can also provide some valuable insight. Like, here's another example. Whenever I was teaching, I would every single Wednesday have the most intense cravings. It was like that was the day of the week that it was even worse than every other day. And I kept asking myself, why am I having these cravings on a Wednesday? Why does that seem to be the day that my body cannot seem to comprehend that we aren't eating all of this sugar all day? And what I realized was that that was the day of our faculty meetings. And given some past trauma that I had at my first school that I taught at, faculty meetings were very stressful. And so I felt anxious all day long about this faculty meeting, and my body, in a way to calm myself down, give myself that dopamine and relax the body. When I was feeling all of that anxiety, it just wanted the dopamine to calm me back down. It was doing that through having me eat sugar. And so that was my way of understanding, okay, I know that it's not that I just am weak, I have no willpower, whatever those stories are that we tell ourselves. It's not that. It is my body trying to protect me. That's why I'm craving all of this sugar. So what else could I do to meet this need? So when you are feeling the sensation of, my God, I've just been eating all day long. Why is this happening to me? Why do I still want more food? The first thing I want you to do is pause and gather some insight. I want you to start to pick up some information, put together the puzzle pieces, and find the missing piece that can help you understand, why is this happening to you? And then I told you I'm going to give you 2 clear courses of action. After you've gathered all of that info, you're going to go down one of 2 paths. The first path is that you are going to do something else that does not require you to eat. This is the path that you're going to take if you are experiencing these cravings and this need for food based off of emotions. If you have that emotional instability, your days are all over the place, you've not been feeling like yourself lately, you've been emotionally on a roller coaster, then you're likely experiencing emotional cravings and you need to do something else. So if you're feeling bored, okay, maybe work is boring to you, maybe you've been sitting on the couch all day, it's a Sunday and you've just been sitting around all day and you don't really feel like getting up and doing much, but you've been snacking while sitting on the couch all day, then you're probably feeling bored, or maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you want to procrastinate doing something. Maybe you've been feeling stressed, or even happiness. Happiness can also be an emotional trigger for food, because think about how often, it goes kind of back to the story of me with the pound cake, right? Even though I wasn't feeling happiness in that moment, I was wanting to feel the happiness. It brought back that nostalgia. I want you to think about, there was a client that I once had, and maybe you relate to this story. She, as a child, every single time she would bring home a paper that had an A+ on it, or every time that she would score a goal in soccer or any other positive experience that she had, her parents would say, awesome, hey, let's sit down and let's have some potato chips and you can tell me all about it. And so she started to correlate feeling happiness with eating potato chips. And so then as an adult, she still wanted to eat those potato chips every single time something went well in her life. So there's a way that you may even be connecting the emotion of happiness with food. So again, you have to be willing to pause and think through that situation. But if you are experiencing some sort of emotion, then I want you to just do something else. Because let me tell you something. Eating as a response to an emotion is not going to make that emotion go away. It might put a band-aid on it for a few minutes. Like if you're feeling bored or you're wanting to procrastinate something, you're feeling overwhelmed, and so you are trying to avoid a situation, it might put a band-aid on it. You might temporarily feel better for 10 minutes, but that problem is still going to exist underneath the surface. And so if you want to get rid of that craving and that food noise and that desire to eat altogether, you're going to have to attack the problem at the root of it. You're going to have to do something about that emotion that does not involve food. So if you're feeling bored, get up and do something. Go do something that will stimulate you, because clearly you haven't been stimulated in a recent amount of time. If you're feeling overwhelmed, tackle a to-do list in the order that makes the most sense to you, in the order that overwhelms you the least. Find something else to do in that situation. The other path that you're going to take is going back to that very first point that I made of, if you have just been snacking all day, you haven't eaten any real meals, you haven't actually fueled your body in any way, then you need to eat a well-balanced meal or a well-balanced snack, okay? And if it's just been snacks that you've been having all day, you need to have a well-balanced meal. But if you've eaten multiple meals that day, a well-balanced snack will do. Here's the thing that I want you to understand is your body, as I said at the very beginning, needs fuel in order to survive. And if it's not getting that fuel, if it's not getting enough energy from your food, then it is going to let you know, and it is going to ask you for more food. That's why so many of us have that feeling of, I finished dinner, I'm sitting on the couch for the night, I'm in my PJs, I'm comfortable, I'm seated, but I really want to go eat some more food. The reason that situation occurs is because you didn't eat enough food during the day. So here's what I want you to ask yourself. If you get to the point where you're like, okay, I know that it wasn't emotional, like I'm not feeling any sort of emotion, I'm not overwhelmed or stressed or sad or angry or happy or any other emotion, then I want you to ask yourself a few questions. Number one, how was my sleep last night? I actually have an entire episode of the podcast that talks about the relationship between lack of sleep and your sugar cravings. But if you aren't getting enough sleep, then your body is going to let you know that it needs more of your energy to come from food that day. Think of it as if your energy is a battery, okay? Your battery of energy likes to get half of its energy from sleep and half of its energy from food, 50% and 50%. If the previous night you only got 20% of your energy from sleep, then 80% of your energy the next day is going to need to come from food, because your battery is going to get to 100%. If not, you'll crash and burn. So we need to make sure we are getting 100% of our energy every day, and your body is going to ask for that. It's going to scream at you all day long, hey, we're hungry, or we need more food, we need some fuel, you're asking us to do a lot of stuff and we don't have enough energy to do all of this stuff. So it's going to ask you for more food to compensate for what you didn't get from sleep last night. So ask yourself, did I get enough sleep last night? Ask yourself, have I skipped any meals today? Have I maybe only had some snacks, or did I not have breakfast today? Is there a reason why my body didn't get enough food for today? Or even if you have been eating food all day, ask yourself, how's my protein intake been? Have I eaten enough protein? Has there been protein at every single meal, and has it been an adequate amount of protein at every single meal? This is something, just a little plug, this is something that I help my clients with in my program Seismic Shift in a couple of ways. Number one, I teach you what it means when I say adequate amount of protein. I teach you how much protein that is, what that should look like, what that should feel like, how much protein you should be eating. And I have recipes in there that I have vetted. I have made sure that these proteins have the adequate amount of protein that you need in every single one of them. So you don't have to figure out, am I eating enough? If you're following the recipes, you are doing everything that you need to do in terms of making well-balanced meals. So I take away a lot of the guesswork. I take away so much of the confusion and is this what I should be doing? All of that is handled by me inside of the program. But ask yourself, am I eating enough protein? Am I eating enough food in general? Did I get enough sleep last night? Is my period about to start? I also have an episode that just came out recently about that. But if your period is close to starting, then that can oftentimes lead us to eating more food because our body is preparing to do something major. It's preparing to get rid of a lot of stuff. It's preparing to lose a lot. And so it's trying to overcompensate with more food so that it can be okay to release all of that. So you're going to feel hungrier leading up to your period. So ask yourself some of these questions. And if you're experiencing some sort of what I call physical craving, then the thing that you're going to do is have a well-balanced meal or a well-balanced snack. So those are your two options. Either you're going to do something else, or you're going to have a well-balanced meal or a well-balanced snack. Okay, so it's one of those two things. When you are experiencing this sensation of I've been eating all day and for some reason I'm still hungry, pause, check in with yourself. Am I experiencing something emotional? If so, I need to go on and do something else that does not involve any food. Pause, check in with yourself. Am I actually physically hungry? Does my body need more fuel? And if so, have a well-balanced meal or a well-balanced snack, okay? I hope this episode has been valuable for you. I look forward to seeing you again in the next one. And in the meantime, do not forget to go down into the show notes, check out the information for this new version of Seismic Shift. I would love so much to have you there, and I cannot wait until the next episode. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you again next week. And always remember, the more you know, the more you grow.